views expressed on this program are not those of IntellectualRadio.com, its subsidiaries, or sponsors. Encouraging, educating, and empowering you into action. This is Warriors Talk with your host, Lady ReShell.
Hello. Welcome to Warriors Talk with author and founder Lady ReShell, where we move away from awareness towards action. This is our breast cancer kickoff. The month of October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we know that breast cancer is associated with the color pink, so I make sure that I am representing today. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce you to our sponsors, which I am so grateful for them. We have Allstate with Paula Kelly. She is covering all of your insurance needs. We have Mary Kay with Gloria Dotson, catering to all of your beauty needs from head to toe. And one of our newest sponsors is MyLeah Symone with affordable book editing services without skimping on price. And we have Emanuel C.O.G.I.C with Pastor Michael Richardson, which you can catch every Sunday morning at 10:15 a.m. on Facebook. Let's hear a word from our sponsors.
Hi, I'm Pastor Michael Richardson.
He's on, so if I had a cable.
And you can also view our videos on our YouTube channel at Emanuel C.O.G.I.C-MR. Once again, this is Pastor Michael Richardson
and First Lady Anastasia Richardson, and we're from the Emanuel Church of God in Christ. We are building upon a solid foundation.
With me is none other than cancer activist, motivational speaker, and the founder of the Gal Foundation, Rizal Gilmore, aka The Biz.
Hey, Lady ReShell.
What's going on? I see you got on your pink too. Okay.
Got on my pink. That's right. Got to represent.
Represent.
I've been wearing it all weekend.
Oh, wow. I'm excited. I mean, this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we know that breast cancer happens 24/7, 365. But we know that they have dedicated this month, set it aside for us to increase awareness. So that's what we're going to kind of talk about today. There's so many things going on as it relates to cancer as a whole. So our topic for today is the war on cancer. Where do we stand? So Rizal, do you think that we're winning this war on cancer right now?
Not at all. I think, honestly, that is being overshadowed now because of the COVID and, the variant, all these other diseases. Like, it's moving cancer, like, down the list, even though cancer has been on the list for a very long time. Why is it that they couldn't go hard to find a cure for cancer as they did for this disease? Because I guess it wasn't on high alert. But people all over the world have been dying from cancer. But yeah, it's definitely been overshadowed, and I don't think that we're definitely not winning this war. It's still doing what it's doing.
Well, I do believe that COVID has overshadowed it, and it also has put some of the people who are in treatment at a disadvantage because a lot of their treatments were getting pushed back, delayed, or either they couldn't go in for one reason or another. So we know that that's not a good thing, especially when you're in treatment. Excuse me, because the doctors don't like for you to break treatment. They do not like for you to take a break. If they have a plan in place, they want you to go through with it and not take a break. So I know that a lot of cancer fighters are probably suffering right now because of that. So yeah, COVID, I think it has overshadowed cancer as a whole. But we know that cancer is not one single disease, right? I mean, you and I both know it's over 200 and some different cancers out here. So when you talk about finding a cure, that means you're finding a cure for all of those different ones, not just one single cancer, but the different cancers. And I think that's where the issue lies, Rizal, is that they cannot just focus on, it seems like it, just one cancer and say, okay, let's knock this one out the way. And then keep on going down the line until all of them are cured.
Right. They need to work on, as you say, we know breast cancer is one. We know lung cancer, we know breast cancer. They need to, because, again, as we said many times on this show, and people may not believe it, but everybody is born with cancer. It's just what you do along your journey of life that's either going to make it grow or make the cells be dormant in your body. So stress being a big killer, things, all the yelling and chaos in your life will cause those cells to grow. So this is why we got to work on better relationships, better communication, doing better things. So, those things, they don't grow. It's really a shame that we do have that many different cancers, and just focusing on one isn't going to just solve. So we can catch it early, or there's something that we can do. Like when everybody is born, maybe there's some type of shot or something they can do when everybody is born to, to try and prevent it. Maybe that would be a factor in fighting this war.
I know that they was working on a cancer vaccine, but I'm not sure which cancer. I know they was working on one for breast cancer, but we know that there's different types of breast cancer as well. So yeah, I totally agree with that. If they could come up with something to where when we're born, you take the shot, and we know that it'll decrease your risk of getting cancer or take it away altogether. They have it for HPV. When the kids get around 12, from 12 to 15, I think they take those shots so that they won't get cervical cancer. So we know that they have the ability to do it. It's just like, why hasn't it happened yet? And I was reading somewhere where they were saying, instead of focusing on finding a cure, let's focus on prevention. And I totally agree with prevention, because if we have prevention, then we don't need a cure, because everybody's doing what they're supposed to do to make sure that they prevent cancer.
Right. But then if we start preventing it, then you're talking big pharma is going to start missing out on money. So they start missing out on money, they're not going to be happy. Doctors are going to be missing their bonuses and all that other type of stuff, that they're getting entitled to when they write the prescription. So they're not going to do that, because we know that cancer is a big money pool.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to push the chemo, the radiation, even if you don't need it. They can push you through, 3 months of it, get some money out of that. And we don't know what type of, I know they are getting a kickback from it, as many patients as they put through it. And then a lot of times it's you're a guinea pig. Okay, let's see how this works on this person, or how many people we can get to go through it. And then, they're having their own little poll and reporting back to their people. So, and lives are at stake. People are dying. Families are being broken up.
Right. And then it's the trust factor. Like, at the time when I was dealing with it, like with my wife, I didn't totally understand. I mean, I became a lot of things, but again, I trusted the doctor's word. But my wife went through about 6-7 different type of chemos, and it was like, well, is he just guessing? Does he know? He don't know. And actually, a lot of them don't know. They're just crossing their fingers, throwing it out there, hoping that something working is going to just slow it down or make it become smaller or something. They don't know, surprisingly. And these are the people that we trust, because obviously we don't know, but we're trusting the God, we're trusting the doctor, and we're trusting ourselves and the people that surround us to help us through these times and what we're dealing with. But a lot of times the doctor don't know. And, now that I know, I don't think I would have let her did as many treatments and what she did. I would have fought it, help. We would have fought it a different way.
Wow. And that's important, because other people need to hear that. Like when you're going through treatment, a lot of times they don't really give you a chance to think about it, to weigh your options. It's like, okay, we got to get into treatment. We got to hurry up. It's like, well, the cancer really didn't get here overnight. It doesn't grow overnight. It takes time to populate, but they will rush you into treatment And next thing you know, you in the middle of treatment, you're like, man, I really want to stop treatment. But if I stop treatment, like what's gonna happen? Like if you fight it, what they say, like what's gonna happen to you? So you really don't even get a chance to try to do your own thing unless maybe at the beginning you're like, nope, I don't want to take any of that. I'm just gonna do things on my own, and then you release yourself from them. But otherwise, they're gonna push it on you.
Yeah, it almost becomes like a scare tactic. I mean, for us, because my wife, she was in stage 3 going into stage 4. And we know the stage 4 is like the last stage. So it's like, okay, well, boom, like you said, let's hurry up. Let's start doing this, doing this, doing this. And, you're not thinking about, well, what if we did that? How, this is like, okay, the doctor's right. Boom, let's get in there. Let's get chemo started. And, look, I had to deal with a lot of long car ride homes, a lot of them. Coming from the hospital, going to the hospital, leaving the doctor appointments. But, I'm grateful that I was there and went through this process, because now I can share it with other individuals, because I know there's another me, just like it's another you. Your story is a little different, but it's the same. We're on the same course.
And
it just happened a different way.
And it's definitely a learning process. And my whole reasoning for wanting to advocate for others is to let them know that no, you don't have to be rushed into doing this. No, you can get a second opinion. Don't be afraid to get a second opinion. Like to give them the knowledge that I didn't have or I didn't get when I was going through it. Sitting on the opposite side of it. You can share that information with people. You can share your information with other husbands that may have wife may be going through it, and they don't they may be clueless as to what's going on.
And they are, because I get so many phone calls, so many text messages, whether it's their mother, their grandmother, their girlfriend, their wife. Hey, what did she do? She got, they got diagnosed with cancer. What did you do? Can you help me out? And that's why we're here. That's why I became such a huge advocate. Because like I said, I know there's another me, and I wouldn't want nobody to live through what I lived through. But, thank by the mercy of God, I had to go through it just to get through it. So now I have a better understanding of everything. And if I had to do it all over again, I absolutely would.
Wow. So we're talking about the war on cancer. And I totally agree with ReShell in that I don't think that we have even put a damper on the war on cancer since Nixon actually declared it 50 years ago. I don't really feel like we have really put a dent in anything. We're still doing chemo. We're still cutting on people. We're still doing radiation. They came up with immunotherapy, where you can use your own immune system to help fight the cancer cells. So that's something different that we could do, but everybody don't qualify for that. Everybody don't qualify. And another thing that actually changes, women don't have to get a mastectomy. You don't have to remove your breast. You can get a lumpectomy if you want to. You don't have to go that radical route if you don't want to do that. So, there are some things that have changed, but the basis of treating cancer is the same. The chemo, the radiation, and surgery, so they can.
Well, the other thing they need to do, instead of raising the age to get a mammogram, they need to lower the age. There should be no way that we got 23 and 24-year-old women that's fighting for their life, stage 4 cancer. How is that detected? Because we know you got to wait 25 more years before we say, oh, well, you at stage 4 and you might not make it. You only got 5 years left.
You got to push, man. That shouldn't be. And you got to push. You have to push. If you feel something in your breast and you go to the doctor and they say, oh no, you too young, don't worry about it. It may be a cyst, it'll go away. And if you got breast cancer in your family, you got to push and say, nope, I want a mammogram. If that doctor won't give it to you, go see another doctor, get another opinion, because that's your life. And you may say, oh, well, they said it's not nothing. And then 5-6 years down the line, you back in that office and now it's at a stage 4.
Yeah, right. And push. Pray until something happens. And you remind me, when you say push, it reminds me, I was listening to one of the preachers. Actually, it happened this morning. He was talking about push, but he was talking about birth. And when you get to that point when it's time to give birth, the first thing they tell you when time to give birth is to push. So it's like you're releasing those hard times. You're trying to get rid of that burden. You got to push, and once you push, you're going to see that you're now, not only are you entering motherhood, but you're also bringing life into this world, which is a joyous thing. But my point is, when you get that test result from the doctor, it's time to push. It's time to push. It's time to everything that mattered didn't matter, doesn't matter anymore. Because the only thing that you're going to worry about is what's going to be relevant to you and your life. It don't matter what Pookie undid to you, what JJ unstole from you and didn't put it back. It don't matter if they got you for 20 cents, 15 cents, whatever the case. The only thing that you're going to be trying to worry about is to live. Because trust me, those thoughts are going to be eating you up.
Yes. You should really be in fight mode. You should be in fight mode. Everything else is secondary. You shouldn't even be worried about anybody else and what anybody is saying or doing. You are the number one person that you should be worried about. And that's it, and that's all.
That's it. Because if they're a team, if they're on your side, then they're going to have understanding. They're going to be there for you. They're going to be your support system. And we said many times on this show, knowing is half the battle and your support team is the other half. So if you don't have neither one of those two, you ain't going to make it. And that's straight up, you're not going to make it.
Cannot do this by yourself. So according to statistics result, it says globally cancer kills an estimated 9.6 million people. This was back in the most recent data was 2018, more than tuberculosis, HIV combined.
Notice you don't really hear much about HIV. I mean, I know they show the commercials, on there, but you really don't hear much about HIV like you used to when it first came out. I guess people really started taking heed to the word, like, nah, I don't want the package. I don't want that to happen to me. So they really start, like protecting themselves. And
I don't even think that's it. I think it's the medicine. Sorry. I think they have medicine out here for HIV right now to where your levels can be undetected and people are being safe. Yeah. But it's the medicine. Because we look at Magic Johnson.
But Magic had that doctor. He had a whole different type of medicine. He had Dr. Sebi. That's a whole nother level. See, if we would have listened to Dr. Sebi a long time ago, not saying that he was correct, but honestly, that man knew something that these doctors and everybody didn't. Let the food be your medicine and the medicine be your food.
Yeah, he was in court. He went to court and he actually won his cases on the people that he cured. So, they can't take that away from him.
Right. And he said he has a cure for everything. Because I know one thing that I did learn with being a chef, being a cook, is that different foods together are going to give you different results. So depending on your situation and what you need, you might need an oregano, asparagus, kiwi, orange, mint flavored smoothie or something versus somebody needing a pineapple, guava, coconut smoothie, because those two things are going to do two different things.
Yes.
So you put everything in there that fights, that will fight cancer or keep your blood going, all those different things. So, that's what I did learn along the way. So this journey wasn't like, as most people say, sorry for your loss, but it really wasn't a loss because, again, it pushed me to being a better warrior for everybody else that's now coming along and that's coming into this thing.
One thing you do is you do gain some knowledge because you want to get out there for yourself and learn things. You just don't take everything now that the doctor's telling you for face value. You question, you go look it up, and then you come back with your questions, which is what we should be doing. Is asking questions. If it doesn't sit right with you, then ask a question. Why do I have to do this? Because a lot of times when you have cancer, they're going off of they have this set regimen for people who have stage 2, grade B, whatever, and they'll give everybody the same treatment. But we all know that we are not the same. Our body makeup is not the same. So my body may not be able to handle what the other person, even though we have the same diagnosis, my body may not be able to handle that, but they'll give you the same treatment and try to push you through that. And like some people don't make it through the treatment, or they have a lot of side effects from the treatment, and sometimes they have to pull them off the treatment.
Right. And then once they pull you off the chemo treatment, it's like, oh, we're going to do radiation now. So now you're about to burn, most of my chest with the radiation, and then I got to put the cream on there so it can bring the color back and it can start to heal and all that. But what about my fingernails that's turned black? What about my toenails that's the same way? What about my hair? What about my eyelashes, my lids, my eyebrow? All these different things. What are we going to do about that? But I know, those are just physical things. People don't care. Again, people just want to live. But these are things, you giving me 4th stage medicine when I'm only at 2.
Yes. And you don't even think about it, because like you said, you want to live. So you thinking like, let me get through this, trying to push yourself through the chemo treatment. And it's like, they push you to the edge to where you almost dying. Them cells in you, the good cells and the bad cells, are dying inside of you. Like your body is decaying.
Well, after they're done guessing, it's like, well, there's nothing else that we can do for you further. We're going to call hospice in and we're going to put you there. Now we're going to have a nurse that comes in and she's going to do X, Y, and Z. And you're like, wait a minute, Doc, you giving up on me? You sending me out to pasture? Like, this is it? And right there from that moment, you just, in your mind, you like, oh my God, this is the end. Like, when you go on hospice, it's not good.
I hate to see they put my dad on hospice, I remember. Mm-hmm. And he actually ended up living, I think, 30 days after they put him on there, and they gave him like a couple of days after that. But I had a sister that used to work as a hospice. She would be that person that would be there with them, and she decided that she didn't want to do it anymore, because she said it was like draining on her to see the families like every time she would come in, because she would kind of get, like attached to the person and their families, and then all of a sudden, they pass. So she was like, it just weighed so heavy on her, and so she couldn't do it anymore. But yeah, I think that they give up on you. And then when somebody tells you that, oh, I can't do anything for you, I done gave you all the medicine that I can, now you just waiting to die. You don't, and now you're gonna give up on yourself. You like, okay, well, I guess I am just waiting to die. Like,
well, that just shows you right there that words have power, because from him saying there's nothing else that I can do, in your mind, you thinking the same thing. There's nothing else that can be done. So I'm going to be a goner soon. But again, this is where the support team kicks in. But by that point, you're tired. You're tired of being poked. You're tired of all the medicines. You're tired of all the breakdowns. You're tired of not getting sleep and rest at night because you're worried about what's going to happen if you're going to wake up the next day or the next morning. And you're tired. And you eventually give up. And I understand that. But this is why we're here. This is why we got Warriors Talk, because we're warriors trying to talk people not to give up, to keep going, to, that we're taking action. We're just not out here talking about it, that we're actually doing things. And I can't wait to the event at the end of the month, 3rd week in October, on the 23rd, so we can, encourage some other warriors and keep them going.
I'm so excited. So I'm just going to do a little commercial. So on September the 23rd, we're going to have our 5th annual Survivor.
October.
What did I say?
September.
I'm sorry. October. October 23rd. We're going to have our 5th annual Survivors Night of Reflection Gala, and Rizal is going to be the host. He's going to be the master of ceremony, and I'm so excited. We have Lisa Adams, who is going to be our guest speaker, and Janine Hall, who's going to be our guest poet that night. So I am really excited, you guys. You can go to warriorstalk.org for your ticket. Invite somebody, bring a survivor with you. We always have a nice crowd, and God always shows up and shows out. So I'm excited. Y'all can come and see Rizal in person.
Yes, I am super
in the
excited.
flesh.
Yes, I mean, like, yes, you don't have to look on the screen like, oh, there he is. And I'm saying, is Facebook still down because
It's
there's no
you know
comments,
what?
nothing.
I think it is. MyLeah's on here, but it doesn't show me like how many people. She said she's looking forward to the gala. Thank you for sharing. Very informative. So, um, I think Facebook is still having issues, but that's why you have to have other outlets other than just them.
That's right. This is why
Yeah.
you got to know more than one. There you
Yes.
go.
There you go.
My
Yes.
father always told me a mouse had more than one hole.
Absolutely. I don't know that it sounds right, but okay. Okay. Oh, okay. So, okay. Thank you, MyLeah. So I have read this today result. It says a diagnosis of cancer once was virtually equivalent to a death sentence. Today, nearly half of all cancer patients expect to live for 5 or more years after their diagnosis. And then I read somewhere to where they said they don't, some of them don't even expect for you to get to that 5 years.
Okay, because I'm gonna say that's what I read. They
They
said
don't.
the minimum is they expect you life expectancy once you're diagnosed is 5 years or less.
Yes.
And I can remember, um, I think the doctor telling me maybe 2 years, and I said no. I'm sorry. He gave her 2 years, but then we found out that it manifested into brain cancer. So we revisited his diagnosis, and of course, it came down. Last, he's like, I may give her like 2 months. So
Mm.
he dropped
Wow.
from 2 years to 2 months. But again, thank God that my wife was a warrior, and she did 1.5 years compared to what he said. So again, this is the doctors not knowing. You never know who you have in your circle, in your corner, or in your team that's going to help you push. But I know, it was really just tearing her up. She was tired. Like I said, all of the needles, the medication, the doctor's appointment, everything just, and then her own thoughts. You got your conscious and your self-conscious eating at you as well. That's not good either. So it's like you fighting against three things. You're fighting against the cancer, you're fighting against the medicine, and then at the end of the day, you're fighting against yourself. That's hard.
Yeah.
That's tough.
That is hard. Like a lot of times, I would watch like comedy shows to go to sleep because I couldn't go to sleep. And when I went to sleep, I wanted to make sure that, it was like happy thoughts when I went to sleep versus, allowing my thoughts to go crazy. But yeah, that kind of stuff will eat you up. And you mentioned the stress part. And last night we were talking about stress and how stress is like a trigger that turns on that cancer gene. So we already know that stress is a silent killer. So and the lady that I was talking to last night, she mentioned that she had like a episode of this huge amount of stress, and then bam, a cancer diagnosis. And although she was eating healthy, although she was exercising, she was doing all the right things, but she had this episode to where she was stressed, and it turned on that cancer gene.
Right. And it doesn't make a difference. Cancer does not deviate from whether how old you are, how young you are, what color you are. It doesn't matter. Cancer is cancer. We got kids, we got older women. It's if cancer wants you, it's going to come and get you. But again, there's things that we can do to prevent it, such as, like you said, we got to start living a stress-free life. Especially in these times right now, a lot of people out there, they're stressing about how they're going to live, where they're going to live, because the government cut off the
Cut it off.
the renters thing or whatever.
Yeah.
Landlords can kick you out now. So they stressing about that. They stressing about money because they ain't got no job. And, the government, they're doing everything to get people to go back to work. But for what they give with things going up, like inflation is real, like things is going up and people pay or staying the same. So they're like, why should I do that? I'll just stay home and collect the unemployment. So it's so many stress within this decade, this time frame. There's a lot of things that's really becoming stressful.
I totally agree. I'm gonna tell y'all, don't be stressed. Please do not be stressed. You can go exercise. That would help with the stress. You can meditate. That would you can do yoga. Like do something that will release that stress versus it staying in your body and wreaking havoc.
Right.
So I'm just gonna give you that. And I know that it can be hard, but you have to make an effort to do something to release that stress. Or
And if that don't work, I got these gummies, baby.
no,
Let me tell you.
no, no, no.
Okay,
No,
back to the show. Back to the show.
that's funny. Back to the show. Uh, yeah. So my brother had put online. He was like, my daughter gave me this cupcake, and he was like, I blacked out, and I don't even remember where I was. I was like, everybody was telling him, you can't eat the stuff that these kids giving you. Like, you don't know what was in that cupcake that she
Man, I
gave
don't trust these kids. Man, this generation, they do. Man, forget about it. I don't trust these kids. Nope.
Yeah, but those gummies are that's a hot commodity right now. It really is. If you guys are just tuning in, this is Warriors Talk with Lady ReShell and the Biz, and we're talking about the war on cancer. Where do we stand as it relates to cancer? And we know that back in, I think it was 1971, Nixon declared the war on cancer. And we thought, and I think he thought at this point right now, that we would already have a cure for cancer, that we would have ways to um, have our family members here, that we would not be thinking that every 1 in 3 females and every 1 in 2 males, will get cancer in their lifetime. That's alarming right there when you hear something like that. That just lets me know, and I don't know, because I'm not a researcher, but that just lets me know that, all these smart people that's doing all this research and collecting all this money, it's like we're I question it. I question like what's really going on. But then I have to think that, if God wanted a cure, then he will allow it. So if he's not allowing a cure to come, then he has a reason for it. That's
Oh,
that's
no,
the only thing I can think of.
don't think that it's not a cure. They just haven't put it out yet because, like we said, the cure is going to stop the money, and you ain't going to want to stop the money. So, and plus, it's definitely on hold now because you got all the big drug companies working on the vaccines for that. So it's like, okay, we got to put the cure for cancer on hold for a minute because we got to stop this pandemic. Right now, that right there is at the top of the list.
I don't know, Rizal. I'm not confident that they have it. I'm just not.
Look, it's in Area 51.
I'm just not.
I'm telling you, it's in Area
I mean,
51.
I know that,
Along with
it's
the
a money
spaceship and the
maker.
alien.
I know that it's a money maker. I do know that. And if it was about money, then the people that have money, that have cancer, should be able to pay to get a cure. That's not happening.
You don't think so?
No, that's not happening.
Didn't Jimmy Carter have brain cancer?
Jimmy
And he was
Carter, yeah, he's
the
97
president.
years old, but I'm thinking more people that like stars and
Didn't he
stuff that
make,
have
didn't he
passed.
just make it? Didn't he just make it through?
But you
They didn't
got
have enough money. You're talking about the president of the United States.
Jimmy.
Because what comes to worse, he could call his buddies in the other countries like, yo, I need some help.
Okay, well
Who got me?
let's look at Joe Biden's son then. He was vice president at the time, and his son passed away from cancer. I really, this is just my opinion, and maybe it's just me being naive. I really don't think they have a cure. I think people have what they feel that may have worked for, certain people. But I just don't think that there is a cure.
You're right. They got Band-Aids.
Yes, there you go. Perfect. I like that word. I like that. Yes. Yes, I like that. And that's exactly that's exactly what the doctors do to us. And they call it resolve that they're giving us more time, like they're buying us more time, because like you said, they don't expect us to live after that 5 years. And you know what's funny? I got a call a couple of months ago
Mhm.
from my doctor's nurse, my oncology, the nurse. And my mom said, they left a message for you. I'm like, why is they calling me? Like, what do they want? So I called her and I was like, did you call and leave a message for me? And she was like, yeah, I was just calling to see how you was doing. Was everything all right? You was calling to see was I alive. You was
You think
calling to
so?
see. Yes. You
Because I know
was,
your heart damn near jumped out of your
yeah,
chest.
yeah, it did. I was like, why they calling me? This is the cancer doctor. Like, why is she calling me? Like, you released me back in 17, 18. Why are you calling me? I really believe that they wanted to see if I was alive.
Wow. Wow.
So they
You know
could
what's
put on their
interesting?
statistics.
Well, it's either going to make this doctor look good, or because it's going to look like, okay, she's still here. We did a good job. Yes, come to this cancer center, and and so on. And next thing you know, they're doing a commercial, and but was it really the doctor, or was it just your strong will?
I believe that God had a lot to do with it, because I really do. Because I believe that, and then because I probably, my flash, I probably would have just given up. I just believe, this is just what I believe. I just believe that it just wasn't my time.
Right.
That's all I believe. That it just wasn't my time. And God was just like, I'm not finished. I'm not finished, but guess what? I need you to go through this because I got something that I need you to do. And people that passed away from cancer, you may feel like, oh, they gone and they didn't get a chance to, live out their legacy and finish. But we don't know the plan that God had for that person. And only the people that's really close to them know the impact that they had. Like your daughters know the impact that your wife had on them and the people that she touched. So if you had to sit back and look at it, what would you say your wife's legacy would be or is?
Well, something to think about. I definitely, as I remember her being a very kind, sweet woman, definitely cannot take that from her. Any and everybody who came in contact, will say that she was sweet. So I think that more so her mission in this life was more so to humble me, because she made me a better man and a better person. And I appreciate and I thank her every single day that I wake up. Do I miss her? I miss her dearly. But as you said, we know that God had a different plan, because if he didn't move me in this direction on what he did, I would have never be in the position that I am. And I never would have taken on this role. I never become an advocate. I wouldn't be out here touching lives and touching stages and touching people. I'd probably be still being a knucklehead, doing whatever else, doing the wrong thing. But now I'm doing the right thing, even when the wrong things is happening. So I feel very, good and grateful about the process. And I don't take it for granted. I take each and every day that, it's a learning process, and I just move accordingly as best that I can from what he tells me to do. So.
Yeah, because some people will say, and that's beautiful. I like that. Some people will say, like, what did you do? Like, what did you do different from the other person who didn't make it? And I always say, I didn't do anything different, because it was God. Because, you could walk around all day and think, oh yeah, I did this and I did that. But all God got to do is think it, say it, and you out of here.
Right.
So, it was like, I did whatever it was that God wanted me to do. And I said I wasn't going to keep my mouth closed when I'm, after I was going through stuff, because at first I was really private about my journey. I was like, because it's a shame that come over you. I'm diagnosed with cancer. Like, what? How did this happen? You know, and you thinking that you're healthy. You thinking, oh yeah, I exercise, I eat right, I don't smoke, I don't drink. Why am I going through this? And so, I had this like this shame, like, no, I don't want anybody to know what I'm going through. So I kind of hid my journey for a while until I was done with my chemo. Like once I was done with chemo, then at that point I was able to start like letting people know, like outside of my family, what was going on.
Well, I remember you once said that God knew that your mouth would be big enough to talk and to spread it to every single body. And that's why you're here on these airwaves now. But I guess both of our mouths must be big or something, because we've been here rocking for the last 8 years, about 8 years now. Yeah, about 8 years. So I guess we both, had mouths that was just huge enough to speak what he needed to say for him.
Yeah.
And I can say one thing about like with my journey, I believed in something bigger than the cancer. I believed in us. And that's what helped a whole lot. And obviously he believed in me, because if it was meant for her to go with me, she would have continued with me. But being that she didn't, then I've been the chosen one to continue this fight, continue this journey, continue doing what I'm doing, not just for me, not just for you, but for us, for everybody. So I don't do it for me. I don't do it for you. I do it for us.
Because it wasn't for like my cancer journey wasn't about me. Although I went through it, it wasn't about me. It was really God. It was really him qualifying me to get to this point, because I wouldn't be able to say anything. Like even when my sister passed from breast cancer, like I could have been like, yeah, talking about breast cancer and all that, but I didn't go through it. I didn't, so I really wouldn't be able to identify with the men and women who are out here fighting. They would look at me and be like, okay, you didn't have cancer. Like, how can you tell me, to stay positive, to do this and do that when you haven't yourself went through it? Like, how can Rizal testify to men and say, hey, be there for your wife, love her, through everything. You may have some bad days, but you're gonna have some good days. Like, God needs those people there. Like, your wife needed you to be there for her. You know how many women go through cancer and breast cancer by themselves and they don't have anybody? You know how devastating that is? You know how it feels. And I know you saw and felt the energy from your wife. Like, to have somebody there to say, babe, you beautiful. Even though, you done lost your hair, you looking crazy, you haven't, this whole off season, but you still have somebody there that's pouring into you, that's loving you, and, just lifting your spirit. And sometimes they're hanging on for you. And they're waiting on you to give them that permission to release. A lot of times they just hang on because they don't want to disappoint you, So, you need somebody in your life. And Rizal was just talking about like the support system. You need somebody. They're so important to your survival. So don't shut people out. Don't be afraid. I mean, you don't have to let everybody know all of your business, just your circle. But don't be ashamed of what you're going through, because it's something bigger than you. And when you sit back and look at it, just all of the people that you touch, even if you touch one person, then your journey was not in vain.
Right, because even though I've gone through being a caretaker, and I wasn't physically the one with the cancer, but I was like with the cancer. And anybody now that's going through it, like, I envy them that's going to hang in there and do the things that I did, because it wasn't about the physical, how she was looking. I know men who left their wives because, their hair, and they wasn't looking like how they used to. They wasn't able to. Hell, I used to draw my wife's eyebrows on for her because she didn't want to go out, without them. And understand, like, women do it now. Some of them like, no, I can't leave without my makeup or my lap. I would do all of those little things, for her, just to make her feel pretty, because no matter what she was going through, she was always gorgeous in my eyes, and that's one of the reasons why, we were together. It did say till death do us part through sickness and health. And I lived those vows and I was bonded to it to the end. So I felt as though that I did my job. And now I'm here to continue to help other people do the same thing. Like, come on, man, just hang in there, Everything, God got his plan. He know what his plan for you is and what his plan for her is. You just got to hang in there and just, honor her and keep her going, keep her motivated. She can get tired, but don't let her give up.
I like that. So we're talking about the war on cancer. Where do we stand? So Rizal, why do you think we're not pushing, or they're not pushing, because we do, prevention, and we're pushing early detection?
Why do I think that they're not pushing prevention? Well, again, I think it's because of they're not putting in a whole lot of effort, because they've been trying to find the cure. They've been trying to find the cure for such a long time, and all they keep coming up is with Band-Aids. It's there. They're not really putting in the effort or the work that they need to really, because if they can come up that fast with a vaccine for COVID-19, they can push that hard to come up with something to fight cancer. They're not interested in finding a cure. We wish that we would, because how many more people have to die? How many more people have to get diagnosed? How many people got to take that long ride home? I hate to see people going through it, but they're not pushing the issue because they feel as though there's other things that's more important. Like, okay, well, today, guess what? We're going to work on the cancer treatment today. Tomorrow, they'll be working on the flu shot, a stronger flu shot, or something like that. Like, they need to just take one thing and concentrate on fighting that, and then get back to the flu. Been around for years, but it's not killing people at a high rate. Not saying that it doesn't kill people,
yes,
but it's not killing people at a high rate.
Right.
Cancer is dropping people. 1 out of 2 Americans. It's 2 of us here.
Right.
That means 1 of us is going to get it.
Yep.
That's a high rate.
That's very high.
Very high. It needs to be tackled.
And it should be.
But they're brushing it off like, oh, okay, Monday. We'll just, we'll get around to it when we get around to it.
It's not of urgent concern. That's how I feel. Excuse me. I feel like it's not an urgent concern to really find the cure.
I wish we had the comments able to come in for tonight. We know that Facebook is going through it.
It's acting crazy. I think MyLeah was listening in on YouTube.
Yeah, Facebook had a thing going on today. It's again, politics, the market and what they want, and to be able to shut social media down. The whole stock market, everything was red today, just because of this. But that's a whole nother story.
Well, I know because I called T-Mobile, like, what's going on? But then I looked online. T-Mobile was like, don't call us, call Facebook. It has nothing to do with us.
Don't call us, call them.
Yes, they put it on the little voice thing when you call, and they was like, Facebook is having an outage. So if you're having issues, then that's who you need to call. I was like, well, all right.
All right. Do anybody have Mark Zuckerberg number so we can holler at him? Matter of fact, he's on Facebook. Let's reach out.
I'm just like, wow. I was just glad that we have other outlets to where we can still get the message out to people. I wanted to read this really quick. It's called What Cancer Cannot Do. It says cancer is so limited, it cannot cripple you, it cannot shadow love, it cannot dissolve faith, it cannot destroy peace, it cannot kill friendship, it cannot suppress memories, it cannot silence courage, it cannot invade the soul, it cannot steal eternal life, it cannot conquer the spirit. That's all things that cancer cannot do.
And I totally agree 150%.
So I think, Rizal, that 50 years from now, our grandkids, great-grandkids are going to be having this conversation, because I really, and I don't want to be negative, but I really don't think that that they're going to be any closer to a cure. I feel like they're going to continue to come up with band-aids to make money, to sell a dream to people like they're buying them more time.
Man, by the time these kids that's mixing all these different drugs and stuff, they might have their own cure. They might come across like how Reese's came. They might dump the peanut butter in the chocolate. Like, oh, what do we have here?
These
they might
millennials,
the Percocet and whatever else they take them. Like, oh shoot, we got the cure. So you never know. But right now it's left up to them. It's left up to that generation.
Yeah. So MyLeah says she's still listening. She says she thinks that America's healthcare system and relationships with the pharmaceutical companies keep cures for cancer at bay. Other countries like Canada have better care options, and the medicine is cheaper in these other places. It's much cheaper.
I'm telling you, it's in Area 51. It's confined, top secret. You need a secret lock, the password. You need the key, the thing, and the codes and all of that to get into. It's there. It's in the time capsule.
We need our people to go over there and get this, and just let it run free.
Which people? You ain't talking about black people.
I am talking about.
And we talking about black people. No. Wait a minute. Tell them at the station we're about to go on overtime. We gotta talk about these people.
We need the people to go get the cure.
No.
Go get the cure, people. Seriously.
No. Look, you gotta put up a nice hefty ransom for them to go in there and get it. I'll give $1 million for anyone who can get. I'm telling you.
I just think we need to start pushing prevention versus early detection, because early detection means you already have it, and it just means that your treatment may be less harmful than you would if you catch it at a later stage. So, and they really don't have a lot of things that we can do to prevent. So that's why they're not pushing it.
Yeah, it'll be less things that you might have to do instead of going through the hardships and the hard times of dealing with all the other stuff because somebody don't know. Fine. Prevention is good. Early detection is good, but all of that should be included in the plan. In the beginning, let's lower the age limit. Start testing girls at 16. Matter of fact, start testing them as soon as they get their period, whenever that is, 11 or 12. Because what I've noticed about kids, they're getting younger with these different things. Even in my age bracket, people who have heart attacks and stuff now, that thing wasn't even thought of that you're 49 having a heart attack. My grandmother, my uncle, at 70 something, it's expected. But you got people that's being 38 having major heart attacks, getting cut open down the line because the age limit is getting younger and younger. So if that's the case, they need to start having mammograms at 11, 12, as soon as, and I'm talking about women right now, as soon as they get their cycle or whatever, it needs to be tested. Because that's a prevention, that's a detection.
Another detection is do your monthly self exams at home. I found my own lump. Touch your breasts, touch them, touch your girls, touch them. And when you go to the doctor once a year, your doctor is doing a clinical exam. And then you get the mammogram. That's 3 things. Now, I'm not sure if I would want my 12-year-old going in and get a mammogram. I probably would rather help her do the exam versus her going in. But there are some things that we can do to lower our risk when it comes to these horrible cancers. So, Rizal, we are out of time.
As always.
Talking about
I told you guys for that extra hour.
Talking about
the war. Talk about our people.
We're going to talk about the people later.
I got a good one for that one, though.
We're going to talk about that later. Okay, so I think you already gave your words of wisdom already. So, because we're out of time. So I'm just going to enjoy y'all to encourage you to come back next week at 6 p.m. right here on Intellectual Radio. This is Lady ReShell and The Biz at Warriors Talk, where we are changing lives one warrior at a time.
Thank you for listening to this week's edition of Warriors Talk with Lady ReShell. To find out more about Warriors Talk, follow at Warriors Talk, the number 1, on all social media outlets. and Warriors Talk with Lady ReShell on YouTube. Please join us next week and every Monday evening at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time on IntellectualRadio.com for Warriors Talk with Lady ReShell, where we encourage, educate, and empower you into action.